All right, in studio with us this morning, we have Eliud Owalo, CS for Information Communications and the Digital Economy. Buenos CS, welcome to Capital FM.
Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure. What a pleasure it is to have you here. And we couldn't start the conversation, obviously, this morning. Yes. Our Twitter followers and those who follow us on TikTok as well have been asking this question and asking us to start with the TikTok conversation. We have a lot to get through this morning with you, Buenos CS. But first, let's talk about this TikTok conversation. The clip we just played was obviously His Excellency, our President, William Ruto, talking yesterday. The conversation between, I would imagine, your ministry, the President, and, of course, the CEO of TikTok is happening today. The question I think we would have to ask you, that our listeners have also asked us to relay to you, is why do we need to regulate what has now become one of the most popular social media platforms in the world?
You see, the operational environment is not static. It is dynamic. And in the course of implementation of various programs, including programs in the digital space, certain issues emerge. One of the issues that has emerged in relation to TikTok is the fact that part of the content within that space is unpalatable to millennials. And as government, whenever such issues emerge, in a participatory approach, we engage the relevant stakeholders, which is exactly what the President talked about yesterday. We believe in a participatory approach. Concerns have been raised about some of the content that is domiciled within TikTok. And we have to listen to the views of the stakeholders. We have to listen to TikTok owners themselves, so that we come up with a way forward as to how we can moderate the content that is domiciled within TikTok. That is really what a responsive government should do. There is nothing which is static in law, including but not limited to the policy framework. As and when issues emerge in the operational environment, you need to, in a participatory manner, engage the various stakeholder segments domiciled in that space so that we come up with a way forward. So, in a nutshell, we are not banning TikTok, but we have to find a way of moderating the content.
Okay. So
that it is not, we don't keep on churning out content that is unpalatable to the millennials, our youth.
It's a complex docket you have, Buenos CS, because ICT, in communications, and of course now the digital economy. You've mentioned it in your previous response, which is the dynamism of the space.
The operational environment. Yes.
You're constantly seeing things change, morph, improve, ways around regulations, etc., etc.
Yes.
You are a CS.
Yes.
Who is constantly learning, I would imagine, because you constantly have to be doing the research behind everything that happens within the digital space.
Yes.
If I understand or hear you correctly, part of this TikTok regulation is also to protect the people who are online, right?
Yes.
And I understand you also have had conversations with the EU and China to secure citizens' data online and data protection.
Well, we already have a policy framework and a regulatory framework to ensure data privacy and data security. I've said this many a time, that as a responsive government, we did anticipate that in the face of digitalization, we were also exposed to certain risks. And what we have done is to, in a proactive manner, ensure that we have got an elaborate risk mitigation framework in the face of digitalization of our services and digitization of our records. So within that space of ensuring data's privacy and data security, we have established and operationalized the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner, whose sole mandate is to ensure that as and when the data of Kenyans come into position of government, that data must be secure, that data must be, the privacy of that data should not be infringed within the confines of the laws and the operational guidelines.
And I think that's such an important global conversation that's happening right now. And it makes me feel so good to hear that that's happening. Because I think so much, like, I'll speak for myself. You know, you have a Facebook account, a TikTok account, you're putting your information on there, but I don't think about where does that information go. So to know that you're taking proactive steps to make sure that my information is and data is protected, I think is so important, because I don't personally understand how it gets disseminated or how it gets used.
Absolutely. And we have to do it in a proactive manner as opposed to being reactive. That's what exactly we have done as government here.
We're barreling towards the fourth industrial revolution.
Yes.
The whole world is heading towards the fourth industrial revolution.
Yes.
Africa can really emerge on a level playing field with the rest of the world if we play our cards right.
Yes.
We know that the other industrial revolutions that have happened have left us behind because of economics, basically.
Yes.
Here we are in a place where IT is such a big part of our lives.
Absolutely.
ICT, the digital economy, etc., etc.
Yes.
Is there an opportunity for us, not just as a continent, but then as a country, to lead the continent and then lead the world as we head towards the fourth industrial revolution? Because the brain power is here.
Enormous opportunities. In fact, from where we sit as government, we see ICT as the most critical success factor for government moving forward. We have to re-engineer our business processes across all facets of government by leveraging on ICT to re-engineer the business processes, enhance efficiency and effectiveness in service delivery, enhance our revenue base, create jobs. Mm-hmm. It is the single most critical success factor that we have for government. And that is what is happening elsewhere. So Kenya really cannot be an exception, and that's why we are following suit. We are aligned at all levels of government that the direction that we are going is digitization of records and digitalization of services.
And on that, as government services continue to move online, how do you ensure that the digital government services are accessible and user-friendly and efficient?
You know, that is the digital master plan that we are rolling out.
Okay.
One, we have been having a challenge of connectivity. Some parts of the country are not connected by way of fiber.
Right.
So as government, within our digital master plan, we are rolling out 100,000 kilometers of fiber optic cable to those parts of the country that hitherto had not been connected. Mm-hmm. That is one intervention in the market. Two, we are correspondingly rolling out a major digital skilling program, starting with the youth and then members of the public. For purposes of the youth, we are not just targeting digital skills among the youth, but we also want to ensure that in the same vein, we are leveraging on the digital skills that we shall have imparted among the youth for purposes of digital jobs. Because we have got a challenge of white-collar jobs today, but enormous potential within the digital space by way of digital jobs that we can leverage on to exploit the full potential of our youth based on their skills, competencies, and capabilities. So within the digital skilling space, our objective is twofold: impart the skills and then create the jobs. What we are doing as government, we have rolled out already the Jitume program, over and above the Ajira program, to train our youth. As we speak, we have already managed to train a total of 336,000 youth since we came into office in the digital space. But correspondingly, we have reached out to global technological companies to get digital jobs for our youth. Through this ambit, we are capable of attaining a threshold of 1 million jobs for our youth. So it is a frontier that we are determined to pursue to a logical conclusion. As we speak, we have already managed, corresponding to the digital skilling program, to attain a threshold of 109,000 digital jobs for our youth. We are actually working in partnership with various stakeholders to pursue this agenda to the envisaged conclusion. We have aligned with members of the parliament, so that as we roll our digital hubs, they are going to partner with us, so that in each and every ward in this country, we are going to have a digital laboratory, a digital hub where youth can go and get training, and then we get connected by way of jobs. Mm-hmm. Imagine, in just a single ward, in just a single digital hubs, we can create a minimum of 300 jobs. On average, we have got 5 wards in a constituency. That means in each constituency, we can create a minimum of 1,500 jobs, digital jobs for our youth. That will be a game changer, because on the flip side of it, we will be stemming the rural-urban migration that we have witnessed among the youthful population in search of jobs. We will be creating the jobs right there in the village.
Would you say that ICT is where the biggest dent in the unemployment, it is a crisis, the unemployment crisis can come from, where most jobs can be created through ICT?
That is where the solution is found.
Okay.
That is where the solution lies. We are creating the jobs right there in the village for our youth. We have partnered with members of parliament. They are giving us the facilities. We are setting up the digital laboratories. We are doing the training and getting the jobs for our youth. Members of parliament are giving us the facilities and also meeting the recurrent cost through the CDF yeah, like electricity, for example. Again, we have partnered also with the county governments. This is a discussion we have had and agreed on how to move forward in this space. The county governments are also making available at our disposal what we are hitherto referred to as the village polytechnics, which are currently underutilized. We want to deploy our devices there, undertake the training, and create the jobs for our youth in partnership with the county governments as well. But again, to augment this digital schooling program, we are also ensuring that as government, we are responding to the fundamental challenge that most Kenyans have raised about the cost of data. As opposed to just seeing how to lower the cost of data, where we can as government to support those who are domiciled at the bottom of the economic pyramid, we are giving out free internet. We are deploying free internet in critical segments of the Kenyan society. And we are starting with markets and bus terminal. Markets, because that is where our mothers and sisters undertake itinerary trade. We want them to have access to free internet for purposes of e-commerce. The bus terminal, because that is where our youth usually loiter around with no gainful economic activity. Again, we want to give them free internet so that they can get engaged in gainful economic activity.
The fiber push throughout the country obviously has to happen for this to work, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And that's why we are starting from there. We are rolling out 100,000 kilometers of fiber. Our target was to roll out about 5,000 by June this year. As we speak, we are at about 6,000 kilometers. We have already surpassed the target.
Yeah.
Our target for the free Wi-Fi hotspots that we have been rolling out is 25,000. In total, we are going to roll out a total of 25,000 free Wi-Fi hotspots, evenly spread all over the country. As far as the digital hubs is concerned, we have a target of 1,450. One digital laboratory hub in each and every ward, the lowest administrative unit in the country.
That's amazing. We're talking all about digital literacy, youth employment, privacy and data. If you have questions, please let us know on 0701-984-984. You can tweet us at 984 in the morning using the hashtag Drive.
Capital FM. In studio with us this morning, the CS for Information Communications and the Digital Economy, Eliud Owalo. We're having a great conversation regarding, here we are in a world that is ever changing, a world that is ever evolving, and a ministry that has to be really on your toes 24/7, 365, because it doesn't stop, the ICT and the digital economy. We had this issue, Bona CS, which was regarding WorldCoin. And Sonny touched on it earlier about data security, data privacy, and cybersecurity. This was obviously a concern for government. We know it's been addressed. But what was the situation with WorldCoin? Why was this such a problem?
Well, I really don't want to go into details of that because that is now a subject of investigation by various facets of government, including but not limited to Parliament. And I think we would rather let the very relevant institutions undertake the investigations so that I don't run the risk.
Sure.
Of jeopardizing the ongoing investigations.
Sure.
Yeah.
But the fact that we're taking things like this seriously means that obviously government is so forward thinking that these things people can't just get away with these kinds of activities, especially in the digital space.
You see, at any given point in time, should there be any contravention, even minimal contravention of the law, the regulations, the operational guidelines, government will move in quickly and make amends.
Right.
Yeah, there's an issue here between registration and conformity to the law and the operational guidelines. They are two different things. You may be registered as a legal entity to undertake a given mandate, but you must operate within the set operational rules and guidelines and procedures. If you contravene that, government will move in and take remedial measures in a proactive manner. In fact, we will not wait for you to break the law.
Yeah.
Should we detect that you are about to break the law, we will move in and make amends. So we have to be proactive.
Yeah, I like that. And obviously the digital space is a crazy space. There's always going to be issues with people who can hack into systems. Yeah. We had the issue with eCitizen recently. I believe there was some hacking that was done. It was fixed quite quickly. But again,
hacking, an attempted attack. You know, what people need to know, when you talk of hacking, it means that you have illegally gained access to some ICT platform infrastructure and interfered with whatever data is domiciled in there. That's not what happened. It was an attempted attack, which was thwarted by the risk mitigation framework around the eCitizen platform.
Okay.
As we speak, the eCitizen platform is now backed to full capacity or optimal capacity utilization.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. And again, eCitizen and obviously all the other platforms we use to make our payments, order government services, etc., that's going to change. The framework of that's going to change.
We are saying that there's going to be one payment platform for purposes of collecting all government revenue. All ministries, parastatals, and agencies were given instructions to that effect. As we speak, we have attained full compliance. 83% of government ministries and government parastatals have already shut down those individual payment platforms, and now we are only collecting revenue through the 222 facility, which is under the control of the National Treasury. And what we are saying here is that, one, the National Treasury, as the ministry responsible for our revenue collection, must have end-to-end visibility of whatever revenue is coming into government. It does not mean that we are going to rob those individual entities of whatever revenue is due to them. We should be able to have a pro rata basis of the revenue due to the National Treasury going directly to the National Treasury, and through the same platform what is accruing or what is due to the individual ministries and parastatals goes back to them. But it must be within that platform. One of the things we have done as government is to leverage on technology so that we seal the revenue leakages that we have witnessed in government. In fact, you are aware, I hope, that as government we are pursuing the digitalization agenda of all government services.
Yes. Yeah.
We are digitizing all government records and digitalizing all government services. In fact, when the Kenya Kwanza government came into power, into office, late last year, we only had a meager 350 services about the eCitizen platform. As we speak today, we have managed to attain a total of 7,543 government services, fully digitalized and available on the eCitizen platform. So what is the import of this? The import of this is that Kenyans will contact government, business with government through technological platform. Moving forward, you will not need to virtually, physically visit a government office to consume the services. You can consume government services from the comfort of wherever you are, including but not limited to your house. The net effect is that, one, this will enhance efficiency and effectiveness in service delivery. Two, we are going to remove unnecessary bottlenecks which individuals have been putting in place between members of the public and consumption of government services. Yeah, it will be between you, your phone, and the government to consume the services. We will eliminate brokers who have been domiciled in government offices asking for kickbacks. We will do away with corruption in government through this digitalization process and eliminate revenue leakages across all facets of government. Once we do that, one, we will ensure that we are capable of bringing on board more people into the tax bracket, collect more revenue, which will then be available for purposes of settling our debts, external debt, and we will even be able to have surplus for purposes of meeting our development and recurrent expenditure.
But has there been resistance from, I mean, there must be resistance because you're talking about these quote-unquote brokers that are domiciled in government offices that obviously can, if I'm going to, if I'm going to a government office with 10,000 shillings, 6,000 might get to the government body that it's supposed to, and 4,000 might go to someone's pocket. The resistance must be there for this to happen because you're actually going to make people poorer.
You see,
those people.
Anytime you are introducing any change program, there is bound to be resistance to that change program. Okay? But you must drive it through effective leadership. We are lucky that this digitalization agenda is being driven from the top. Our key agent of the digitalization program is the president himself. So anybody working in the government has to be aligned. All ministers are now leading the digitalization program from within their relevant ministries and sagas, and parastatals, So everybody has to be aligned in government. It is a program that we are pursuing to a logical conclusion, and either you align or you ship out. There are no two ways about this. Yeah, because we are going the full hog. So it's not a question of whether or not you can comply.
Because there's even somebody here on our WhatsApp line that's talking about digitalization of land records.
Yes.
Yes.
Let me tell you, some of the facets of government that we have targeted initially for purposes of digitalization is the lands. There was a clog at the land registry. We have now sorted out that. Okay. The Ministry of Health. You are aware that we have got our universal health coverage agenda. One of the challenges we have been facing in that place is interoperability of health records. Yeah, we want to leverage on technology to ensure that an individual's health records can be accessed by different health facilities so long as it is already available.
Yes.
Not that you go to Nairobi Hospital today, you are told go for X-ray here, go for this scanning. You go to Aga Khan, you are repeating the same scans, for example. So interoperability of that data. So health sector is one of the places that we have targeted, including but not limited also to KEMSA. We want to leverage on technology to seal the revenue leakages that we have been witnessing at KEMSA. KRA, we are strengthening the revenue collection system. Immigration, we are streamlining the passport processing mechanisms so that even Kenyans who are out of the country can apply and receive passport electronically. Okay? We are also looking at e-transport. Why should we in this day and age continue having traffic police on the road? It doesn't make sense. We must have a virtual means through which we can effectively monitor all that is happening within our roads.
Yeah.
Okay?
And speaking of our roads, let's quickly get into the sports and look at our roads one more time before we come back with the CS here. Of course, continue sending your questions on 0701 984 984. You can tweet us at 984 in the morning.
Capital FM.
CS for Information Communications and Digital Economy in studio with us this morning. Thanks very much for all the comments and questions that have come in. We have Eliud Owalo as we wind down the conversation.
I have one more question here from somebody here on our Twitter line. They say sometimes, government websites will be lagging or a little bit slow, and do we have plans to boost the infrastructure in order to make it accessible like we discussed earlier?
We are sorting out all that. You see, one of the challenges that we had is that our NOFB, which is the major ICT infrastructure we have been leveraging on, has been cracking under the weight of age because it was installed a long time ago, and capacity as well, because now we have got excess demand or enhanced demand for that matter. So what we have done is also to embark on the process of enhancing the capacity of our NOFB fiber optic infrastructure, from the hitherto 10 megabytes, 10 GB to 30 GB. That will exactly enhance the infrastructure to the level that it can uptake more demand. We are going to sort out not just issues to do with the slow speed of the internet and even the websites, but we are also going to standardize the websites. There must be some uniform branding of government websites from a communication perspective. So standardization, and even all service providers in government, because we are basically doing component of this digitalization agenda as government and also part of it by the private sector. All service providers, apart from signing contracts, will also sign service level agreements, so that should there be any downturn in the services, it must be rectified within specific periods of what? Of time. Very clear timelines for response to challenges that are faced, because at times you are bound to face challenges with ICT infrastructure. There must be clear service level agreements, and we have said that moving forward, apart from signing contracts, we must also have very clear service level agreements. Now, in the same space of digitalization of government services, one of the challenges that we have, again in a proactive manner, envisaged is the issue of affordability of the handsets. We need more smart enabled phones in the hands of the Kenyan public at affordable cost. So as government, we have already proactively embarked on a partnership with the private sector, And in the not too distant future, we'll be rolling out in the Kenyan market smart enabled phones at a cost of $40 per unit.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, so what you're trying
to facilitate last mile connectivity, because if you digitize records, digitalize services, but Kenyans don't have smartphones, you have a problem in facilitating the virtual transactions. So again, we are addressing that. We are closing the gap, the void that we envisage in the market by proactively making smart enabled phones in the hands of the Kenyan public.
Then that would lead me to ask the informal business, what we call informal markets, Juakali, etc., etc.
Yes.
It seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, through your ministry, the government is trying to formalize those business operations. So for two reasons. One, it's a sense of ownership if my business has a formal capacity to it, right?
Yes.
Number two, goods and services, much easier to access. And number three, tax collection to boost the economy.
Yes, and also, over and above what you have stated, is e-commerce. We must move away from the traditional way of doing business and pursue e-commerce. Look, we are connecting internet. Once that internet is available, the mama mboga there, the fishmonger there, should be able to take a photo of the product for that day and load it up on the internet. The buyer should be able to see it from wherever the buyer is. We no longer in this day and age need a physical interface between the seller of a commodity and the buyer of a commodity. Again, in that space of e-commerce, proactively as government, we are coming up with a national addressing system to facilitate e-commerce. We have already had a policy and a bill in place, which we are progressing to the next levels of government for purposes of approval, then proceeding to Parliament for purposes of enactment of the relevant laws. The other thing that we are doing is within our Konza Technopolis, which we envisage to be our own version of the Silicon Savannah. We are creating enormous opportunities for purposes of foreign capital investment. We have already laid out the infrastructure there, and now by way of entrepreneurship, we believe we should be able to attract private sectors into our Konza Technopolis, so that we not just embark on manufacture of computer hardware, but also eventually computer software in the Kenyan market, as opposed to importing.
Yeah, and it sounds like under your leadership
that will save us foreign exchange reserves. Yeah,
it sounds like under your leadership we've had so much. You have so much in the works currently.
Yes.
You spoke a little bit about the kilometers. 5,000 kilometers was the goal for June of being laying fiber, and it was surpassed. And then
when it comes to the free Wi-Fi hotspots, our target was 2 per county as at June, which is gives you a sum total of 94. As we speak, we are at 461 free Wi-Fi hotspots. Our target of the digital labs was as at June was 194. Again, we have attained that.
Right.
Our target of digitalization of government services was 5,000 as at June. Today we are at 7,543. So I'm glad that working together with the team that we have at the ministry, we have managed to surpass the targets, and we are on the threshold of turning Kenya into a truly digital economy.
So that was going to be my question. Where do you see the future of Kenya in the ICT realm?
I'll call it the digital endgame.
Okay.
What is the digital endgame?
Yes.
Because we want to turn Kenya into a digital economy. One, we'll run a paperless government. We are not going to have any manual processes in government at the tail end of all this. Two, all Kenyans will have the opportunity to consume government services from the comfort of wherever they are, without physically having to visit government offices. Three, we are going to create a critical mass of jobs for Kenyan youth within the digital space. That will stem rural urban migration. It will also alleviate the unemployment challenge that we are currently witnessing within the Kenyan economy. Four, we are going the direction of e-commerce. Across all facets of government. And e-commerce actually is one of the avenues through which we are also deliberately using to turn around the fortunes of some of our ailing parastatals. Postal Corporation of Kenya, we have told them that the direction to pursue is e-commerce. And we have already come up with an e-commerce strategy, and we are now moving to operationalization to turn around the fortunes of the Postal Corporation of Kenya. In the same vein, we have come up with a framework of upgrading the infrastructure of the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, reviewing or reorienting the content in line with the demands of the market so that we can turn around the fortunes of KBC so that it can punch at its rightful weight in the marketplace. Again, Kenya News Agency, we are leveraging on technology to turn around the fortunes of KNA by making sure that it will be the single most important source of credible content for all media houses. Those are interventions that we are reducing. Again, in terms of the end game, we are going to have a digital, a gig economy. We will have a situation where you can be working at Capital FM in the morning, working at KBC in the afternoon, and doing your own hustle in the evening. A gig economy. Kenyans no longer need to work for one organization, and I want to urge employers to start preparing for this, because that is the direction that we are going. Even in the type of employment contract that we are going to have is going to change, because people will be multi-skilled through technology, and people will have the option to work for different organizations at the same time. Because again, in terms of performance management, it is not the physical presence of an individual in an office that we should be looking at. We should be looking at results at the end of the day as a performance indicator. With this level of digitalization across all facets of government and even the entire Kenyan economy, because we are saying we are going to have internet connectivity everywhere, we are going to have digital skills, we are going to have affordable, smart-enabled handsets, we are going to turn Kenya into a 24-hour economy.
Absolutely. And that was the dream of from former President Kibaki's time through the last administration, and possibly going to be realized in the next 9 years, which is a wonderful thing.
Oh yes, because you don't just need to work during the day. You can work. You don't need to physically be seated somewhere to work. You can work from wherever you are. In fact, even through this digitalization program, we are going to sort out the traffic mess here. Most of the traffic you see coming into town, what you are alluding to a while ago, is because people are rushing to government offices.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Yes.
Or just offices in general.
No. Largely government offices.
Right.
Yeah, because they are the ones pre-domiciled in the town center. Most of the private sector entities have moved to the environs of town.
That's true.
True.
But people rush into town center because that's where the government services are. That's where the government offices are.
Yeah, that's
there
true.
Will be very, very minimal rationale for coming into the town center.
Do you think COVID, sorry, I know we're ending, but do you think COVID led us to this mindset?
It was a blessing
in disguise, right? Because we realized we can do things remotely.
Even in education, we no longer need to confine Kenyans to the four walls of a classroom for purposes of learning. We are going the e-learning route. Recently, His Excellency the President opened the virtual Open University at Konza, which is domiciled at Konza. We will have a situation where even a matatu driver, when he is waiting for his passengers, can log into a class and pursue higher education.
That's amazing.
It's a game changer, I'm telling you, this ICT thing. Yeah.
Okay.
It will create enormous opportunities for different stakeholders within the Kenyan economy.
I think our minds and our listeners' minds have been blown this morning with not just the results you've achieved in the 9 months that you've been the CS in the sector, but also what the plans are for the next 9 years. It's incredible, really incredible. Thank you so much for coming in this morning. You got to give us a song to play for you, because we noticed you were really enjoying the music, so we got to play something for you.
Anything fun.
Anything fun.
Funk.
Funk. Okay, Commodore's Brick House. That's a great funk song if we have it. We're going to play some funk for you. Thank you so much, Brother CS.
Okay, great. It was my pleasure. And I look forward to coming out again.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
Capital FM. Capital